Alright, welcome. In my video, it's my pleasure to serve you and to learn you and to teach you new things about drum bass, about music production. Today, I prepared 15 tips and tricks I use when I produce music. Some of the tips are pretty easy and can really improve your workflow. So let's get straight to it. So trick number one, or the number one, is to create template in Ableton. So you can see now that I have a little project here prepared, but I have sorted drums, sub bass, synths, FX, samples, vocals, sidechain. So this is my a starting template. Always when I create a new project, I have this template ready. So I have a drums here, I have samples here. This is vocal, so you can maybe samples you have in your bank, you can just drag the samples here. Vocals and sidechain. So easy thing to do is to right click on this panel, right, and insert audio track. And what you can do, you can click another time, right click on this audio and click group tracks. So now you created a group and you can add another track, audio or MIDI tracks to your group. That way you can also rename the group, for example drums, and now you have a group. Basically you can also add some audio effects on the drums, for example delay, and now you have your sorted template kinda. And if you want to save this template, so another time when you open a new project, your template will be already there. You can go to options, preferences, link file and folder, and save current set as a default. You click save and you will have the template ready. It's pretty obvious, a lot of people have it already. If you don't know how, now you know. If you don't have, you can have. Trick number two is to use Splice. So I use Splice basically every day. I use these samples. So here's my library. I have 2040 samples, right? So a lot of samples I use. I was using a Looperman back in the days on the internet, but now we have a Splice. It's for $5 a month, so it's kind of pretty cheap. I like it. My workflow is amazing with this thing. I can use whatever sample I want. Use Splice. That's number two. Number three is to use Locator. So what I mean by Locator, imagine you have this project, but you have it like a really long track. Now you don't know where is your build-up, you don't know where is your bridge, where is your drop and stuff. So what you can do is to go with this. You see the speaker, right click and add Locator. So now you can move the Locator and you can also rename the Locator. So for example, here's a drop. Yeah, here's a drop. So I'm gonna locate the drop here. Here is the build up. That way and this way you can locate your track. You have a more organized track, right? So that's kind of good thing for me to use. I always locate the track. I know some people don't use it. I use it because it's really save a lot of time for me and mental capacity, right? So number four is to set the key of the song before you start a song, especially when you are trying to remix a track. So before you start a song, basically just create one sound, right? So I want to write in a C. So now this is my key for the song. So the first kind of a sound that play set ups the key of the song. There's a lot of music theory around this stuff, but I always use this kind of trick that the first note I place, I know this is my key I want to go with, and that way I can search up on a Splice in which key I'm writing, so I can sort the sounds and the vocals to the right key. Number five is to chop vocals. So I prepared a really a small loop, and I did on a purpose that it sounds not good, and with these other tricks we are going to improve this loop, get it going. So chop the vocals. So I have here full vocal.
Thinking about me when you fall asleep at night. I want you thinking about me even when I'm out of sight.
Alright, so this is my vocal, and what I did with this vocal is that I kind of chopped it and played with transpose.
Thinking about
right? Yeah, number 5. So chop the vocals. This is usually really useful with in the drops. In a drop of the song, and before you can also try it before in a bridge. So I mean, chopping a vocal is pretty basic one, but I use this one a lot. So this is a vocal chop, and this is the whole loop we are going to work. Okay, so you can hear that it's not that professional, but we are going to fix that really soon. So, chop the vocals. Another trick and tip, reversing the sound. So it's not a reverb, but it's a reverse. So how you can reverse the sound? And click on the sound. It needs to be MP3 or WAV sound, right? So in audio, and you can type or click R on the keyboard, and you will like reverse the sound, right? So now it's a reverse. And what you can do is you can play with this tail. So you can also have this like a reverse chop, or you can reverse the tail like this, and you can have this like build to a second section. So I really like to do this reverse sound with some fills, you know, vocal fills, when you are trying to transition from one section to a second section. So this is my trick. This is my first section. This is my second section. I'm gonna add a locator, so I know this is my second section. This is my first, and I want to transition from my first section to second section with this reverse thing. So I'm gonna do it like this. Now I'm gonna replace this like and do reverse thing. So now it sounds like this. Right, so this is reversing the sound. Alright, another tip and trick is to use chorus on the vocals. So this vocal is already on the sides, but what can happen is that your vocals can be completely mono, right? So it's in the middle, right? Now it's on the sides, now on the middle. So what you can use on your vocals when they are in the middle and you want to make them like on the sides, you can use chorus on the vocals. So this is my really like special sauce for vocals when they are not wet and you want to make them on the sides and stereo. So this is like in the middle, on the sides, middle, on the sides. You can also add a bit of feedback. So you can have this like metalish effect, right? So this is a thing I like to use with the feedback. You can also play with this delay 1, delay 2. So this is my trick number 2 to use a chorus on the vocals. Not number 2, but you know what I mean. I have it sorted here in a notes block, but I have the numbers incorrect, so I'm sorry. Tip and trick number, I don't know which. So use chorus on your vocals. Another thing you can do is to use OTT. So this is a pretty good thing too. You can use OTT on your vocals. So when the vocals are sounding with the chorus, they are wider, but you want to make them louder and you want to like add that crisp on the end. So you don't want to like just increase the volume of the vocals, so it will distort it. You just want to add that more of volume and crisp at OTT. So you can increase the output of the volume and decrease the amount. So you can get this metalish kind of effect on your vocals. So that's pretty nice. You can also use OTT on a bass, on a sub bass if you want to. Pretty nice with the vocals, with the synths, with the mid. Use OTT. You can also use OTT on the drums if you want. So for example, my snare. Here you can hear I can add OTT. Not that much of a difference, so just maybe on a perks, it will work more. Another thing, another trip is to use Sidechain. So this one is not that obvious, but for a long time I wasn't using Sidechain, and then I realized like, why is my track so messy? Why there is like things battling and fighting with each other? For example, kick and bass, kick and snare, and these hi-hats. I'm gonna show you difference between the sidechain and no sidechain. So this is the drums without sidechain, and pay attention on the perks, right? So this is without sidechain, and now I'm going to switch to sidechain. You can hear on the kick, perk is playing with the kick on a sidechain. And when you switch to sidechain, you can hear that the sound of the perk is like attacking, and the kick is playing through the perk. It's possible with this Shaperbox sidechain plugin, where you can see here how you can make space for the kick. I am kind of like an extreme enjoyer of sidechain, so I really like to sidechain a lot of stuff in my project. If you want to make space for some sound, especially for drums, I always sidechain kick and snare. This is my another tip and trick you can use for your projects. Another tip and trick is to use reverb automation. So now we have our vocals. We have now our vocals ready, already chopping with the chorus, with the OTT. What you can do to fill the space and to make vocals more interesting is to add a reverb. So now you have more space with your you basically create a more spacey environment for the vocals. But what I usually do with this reverb, it's my like a secret technique I'm using in every track, is that you can play with this high cut, low cut kind of thing. But I always trying to give this input processing on a high cut, because if you leave it like this, the reverb sound kind of like you're basically like cutting the reverb, the high frequencies of the reverb. So now only low frequencies are passing on the reverb. Now it's like a more airy. I'm always trying to give this full pass, because why not? And also here's the diffusion network, and this is like how much of a reverb is actually passing through. So I'm always going like a full pass also. And now the main thing you want to do if you want to make this trick really work is to increase the size, increase the stereo, and increase the decay time, I don't know, a lot. And what you will do now is to take the dry bed and like put it on a 0 and click on it. Now you can open an automation, and you can automate the dry bed of the vocals, right? So what I usually do, I find the right spot in a vocal, and what I want to do is to do this kind of automation. So now you can have this reverb tail with your vocal chops. It's really subtle here, but you can also play it and also on a end of a section. So now you can fill up the gaps more. You can also add a bit of a more diffuse to make the reverb loud. Alright, so together. Alright, so that's my reverb technique. I use this in every drop. I really like to use and tail the vocal chops. You can also do this kind of stuff if you don't want to make the chops that frequent. You can also make the reverb longer. Alright, so that's my reverb technique, tip and trick. Another thing you can do is to use auto pen automation. So what you can do here is that you have this tail with the reverb, and when you have a longer tails of the reverb, you can also use auto pen. And what you can do, you can automate this reverb tail. So I'm going to increase the amount here and also a rate. So you hear what is it doing? Is it like going from your left ear to right ear, and you can make this like a really funny automation when it's like rotating like this. That's another technique I use when my reverb tails aren't that cool. I can also always add a auto pen to make it more spicy. Another trick I have here is to down sample. So for example, if you want to make your sound more interesting, you can also add a Redux here. So what is Redux doing is that it's down sampling your samples. So my vocal is sounding like this, and I can down sample it. So, for example, here from section 1 to section 2 is this reverby kind of feel. I can add a down sample automation here for it, so it will be more interesting. You can also use Redux for your snare or for your kick. It's adding that 8-beat kind of feel to your sound. You can also click on a soft down sample, and it's more subtle. It's not that crazy, so this is maybe a more for drums processing. This one is a lot of time used in lo-fi tracks, and I really like to use it in a drum and bass. It can add some nice feel to your tracks. Another tip and trick is to use Autofilter. So for example, I'm going to do this, and this is my section 1, this is my section 2. For example, this is a drop, and I want to make this one a build up. Alright, so I'm gonna clean the automation. So this one is my basically a build up, and now when I play this transition from these vocals, from this section build up to my drop, it's pretty like a straight line, you know, it's nothing is happening. So what you can do with your vocals also, you can add a bit of an auto filter to your vocals, so you can play with this resonance. I always give it a 0, so it's nice and smooth, and automate this filter frequency. So what you want to do is to just make this nice automation for your vocals. So now it's filtering up. Right, and you can also do this with your kick and with your percussions. So here you can also do kind of like a small beat. We can do a small build up here with a bit of kicks. Also, I can also add auto filter to my perk, automate the perks, and also my kick. So this is basically how I use Autofilter for a lot of my time. So another trick, and I think it's the last one, is to use delay. If you want to like feel the track, or you have your vocals, for example, we can do here to make it more interesting. We can use this original vocal here. I feel like I will like drop this to a new rack, so it will be completely without the processing. This is my vocals.
While I'm losing my mind.
I feel like this is pretty nice. So now you can hear the vocals are pretty like dry.
Aren't you thinking about me?
What you can do, you can add a delay. I always add a delay here. Ping pong, and with a left and right on a 2 and with a 25 on a drive. This is my like really favorite use of a delay on the vocals.
I want you thinking about me when you fall asleep at night.
Also use ODT.
I want you thinking about me. I want you thinking about me when you fall asleep at night.
And what you can also do is to use EQ.
I want you thinking about me when you fall asleep.
Kinda EQ the low frequencies here from the vocals you don't want to hear. You can also use EQ, not this one, but classic EQ for your vocals in a drop and for your snare. This is basically my small tips and tricks how you can spice up your song. I know this one project isn't that banger, the idea isn't that amazing, but I just wanted to demonstrate you how you can use this kind of useful tricks and tips for yourself. Maybe you can like now use a reverb with Autopen if you want to fill some space. Your vocals are in a mono and you want to make them more on a sides, you can use chorus. You want to introduce your vocals, you can use Autofilter with a delay so it's more full. You want to make your vocals more loud but you don't want to distort them, you can use OTT. You want to filter the low frequencies, you can use EQ. You want to make space between your kick, snares, bass and stuff, you can use Sidechain. You want to not know, but you don't want to be like looking where is my samples and have a chaos in a project. You want to do your template, you want to sort your track with these locators. So I feel like I show you a lot of tips today. I feel like it's a pretty valuable. I don't know, just tell me down in the comments. Thank you for your time and see you in the next one. Peace. Hold up, bro. You said there will be a 15 tips and tricks and you only showed 14. What is wrong with you? I do lie to your audience. I didn't want to spoil that, but it's a secret. The 15 tip and trick is to go on my Patreon and become one of the 10 students of mine. This is my 15th secret trick. It's not for everyone. It's pretty expensive, so probably you don't even have a lot of money to do this, but if you want to learn more stuff, just click on my Patreon, review all the benefits you can get from, and it will be like a masterclass basically of me teaching you how to produce your music. You can share all the problems with me there, so if you want to and you have the right mindset, join. Alright guys, have a nice day and peace.